If you're planning on selling your business, one of the terms that you're going to hear is a seller's thesis. And what this is can help you get a higher multiple for your business. So, what is a seller's thesis and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan, coming to you live from Consulting Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales, growth, opportunity, seller's thesis, what they are, and a fantastic day to talk about you. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento. All right, so you're on this path and you say, hey, Scott, I really want to take a look at what it's going to take to sell my business. And we're 5, 4, 3, 2 years out from making this happen. Well, there's a document that you're going to create that's going to be all about your company. It's going to have details. It's going to have facts. It's going to have figures. It's going to give a prospective buyer the view of what they're getting. So let's say that you're going to sell your house and you're going to put it on the market. Well, you're going to list, it's got a new roof, that the kitchen was remodeled, that there's a new heating and air system, that the landscaping was just redone. There's a business version of this. This is your seller's thesis, and it's going to break down a bunch of information about your company. So, if you were going to be at an industry event and you were going to talk to people, what are some of the things that you're going to brag about? It could be the productivity. It could be the revolving monthly recurring revenue. It could be these are all things that are going to go into your seller thesis. These are the ideas and the arguments of why you deserve the money that you're going to want for your business, for your practice, for your offer. And one of the things that happens is when you go to sell and you wait till the last minute, you're going to have to search for the data, and you may not have it. And what happens is when you take your seller thesis and you match it up to a buyer thesis, your best bet is when the buyer thesis is down here a little bit lower and your seller thesis is all the way at the top. Now, I have a thing called a Titan thesis, which is even better than a seller's thesis, and we'll get to that in another video. But if you're like, hey, Scott, seller's thesis, how do I get this? Well, what you want to do is you want to talk about profitability. You want to talk about options that you have. You want to talk about, moats that you have in your business, like intellectual property or things that other people can't do like you. And these seller theses, if they have so much information about your company, you really don't want to give them out without a non-disclosure agreement. If you're gonna go to town on the details and you're gonna give the secret sauce that gives you a competitive advantage, that is something you may want to talk to an attorney about. Like, hey, what is the pared down version that's forward facing to the public for the people who may make that purchase? So you're selling a history, right? Yep, you're selling a company, but you're selling the history of that company and you're selling proof. So if you start thinking in terms of, okay, what is it that a buyer wants to have in my industry? And you can go to private equity groups. You can go to private buyers and saying, hey, I'm considering selling my company, my organization, and I want to know what are the things that you look for. And there's plenty of them. They'll tell you, hey, we're looking for monthly recurring revenue. We're looking for a client base. We're looking for management. And they'll go down that list. And they're more than willing to tell you what it is because in their mind, they're saying, well, we're not wasting our time for somebody who doesn't have these things. Occasionally, you're going to come across people like, I'm not going to tell you that. Like, this is ridiculous. There's no reason for me to tell you that. And then you're going to come across people like, yeah, I'm going to absolutely tell you that because it's going to make my job easier because they have account executives. Right? There's something like, I want to say 3,000 private equity groups and a couple thousand family offices in the United States, big and small across the board. And they all have some sort of buying thesis, and you can ask them for it. You can email them, you can call them, you can start a relationship. But you want to have a seller thesis. You want to define your seller thesis, and you don't want to let somebody define it for you. You're going to keep track of the trends. You're going to keep track of your industry. You're going to keep track of what happens in your business. You're going to allow for information about decision bands. You're going to talk about intellectual property. And then when it comes time to sell and someone's like, give me the stats, you're like, wow, I got a whole book, right? It's a full-on demonstration of everything you need. It is backed up. It's footnoted. It's got the stats, the figures, and everything to go along with it. And the seller's going to go, holy cow, nobody ever does this, right? It works to your favor. If you're using a broker uses like a slimmed down version, a diet version of this, and their seller thesis is what they use to sell their company. but you want more proof. You want more power. You want to have the ability to do a deal on your terms. There you go. You got one of three things to do from here. Just one of three. Find the subscribe button. Click on it. Every time I send a video, you will get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.